Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. I know we're a little bit late today. I said I was going between 6 and 7, but lo and behold, I'm a little bit later tonight. So be it. We'll wait a little bit, let some people join in before we get started. But we are here. We are here. We want to remain consistent and keep showing up for our Sunday lives. So we are here and ready to go. So we'll just wait for a little bit to let some more people join in before we get rolling. So adjust my camera just a little bit. Hello to everybody that's coming in, to everybody that's entering the chat. I appreciate y'all for tuning in on this Sunday evening. We will get started momentarily, just allowing a few other people to enter the chat. Hello, Tammy. Hello, Honey 0001. And we are going to get started in just a few minutes. Hey, Darium, how you doing, man? How are you doing? Good evening, good evening. We are going to get started in just about 1 minute, just giving people a little bit of time to join the chat. Oh, thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that. I think a lot of people did like that interview. My wife watched that one too, so I am proud of that one. I am proud of that one. I brought all the good information for everybody. So a lot of good information. So I do appreciate y'all watching and checking it out. So hopefully I did you proud, Darium. All right, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We 3 minutes in. I'd like to give people time to join in, but I see they did. Darium, I make you a moderator. I think I did, but let me just ensure that I did. Yes, you are still moderated, Darium. So if you see something crazy, just boot them out. Just boot them out. All right, guys. So I want to get into week 39. It was a very, very, very good one. Very good one. I actually shocked myself. I didn't even think I had no idea that the week was so good. Big surprise for me was that I actually lost 3.1 pounds in the last week. 3.1 pounds. I hadn't lost that much weight in quite a while. So to lose that much weight in 1 week, it's been a minute. I was playing around with the 1.5s. So to jump back up to 3, and it was really after a solid month of being on that 10 milligrams. So I got to get that 10 milligram a good deal of that credit. You know what I mean? So please like the chat as you come into the room. Please like the chat. So with that 3.1 pound loss, I actually ended up at 232 pounds, right? So yeah, it really was, man. Well, actually, you know what, Darren? I feel like I got a lot of control. I think with that 10, me and Vanity were talking about this the other day on her live about how much control that 10 milligram gives you. It's like something different, Hey, Felicia, how are you? How are you? It is definitely like something. It hits different. It really hits different. Because it puts you in this, what I feel like is this state of control. It almost makes me think This is how people who actually don't have food noise live. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm in so much control. Um, I got the trusty glasses on. Usually I only wear these at in my office when I'm at work, but I got these trusty glasses on because I'm actually utilizing the MacBook and doing some reading while I'm on live here. I usually do everything, which most people don't know, in one take. I don't edit anything, and I usually go right off the dome. So, so I think it's actually cool that I actually got the trusty MacBook right in front of me, where I can actually, cite my sources. So, Darren, you got a new profile pic? Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see Felicia mentioning it. Okay, Darian. So now we gotta. Hey, Tamika, glad to see you into the chat. So now we're gonna have to go ahead and get you get this page going, Darian, so you can go ahead and start kicking out these lives on your page. So, because that's what everybody's waiting for. When I was talking to Chris over at the Downsides, he asked us to kind of try to encourage you to get going. So that's what we're gonna do. That's gonna be our goal for 2026. In 2026, we want to see Darian go live. No, this is truth. This is truth. Ain't no lie. This is all truth. Ain't no lies here. No lies told. We gonna get you on. We gonna get you on. But back to the week. Week 39 was special because I'm at 232 currently, which puts me down 87 pounds. 87 pounds. So, and please call that man Christopher. Yeah, so like I said, Christopher was asking that I actually get you going and get you live because me and him talked before and after we got on that interview. So we had a nice chat prior and after about getting you on these airways. Yes, 87 pounds down. Major, man. Major. That means I'm 13 pounds from my initial goal of 100 pounds in just 9 months. Today was my 9-month anniversary, I should say. Today marks the 9 months of me being Zepper. So, and like I said, it came in with a bang because to lose 3 pounds is amazing. I will say, thank you, Felicia. Thank you. I appreciate that. I thought it was a decent interview as well. And if y'all haven't checked out my interview with RMZ, please go check that out too, because I feel like that was a really good one too. So please go check that out because we got into talking about our community and mental health. RMZ also has he got another live interview coming up on this coming Tuesday. So make sure y'all check that out. But please stay on topic. Oh man, stay on topic. I'm gonna actually be all over the place since this is Geez1of1. You know, when I go to other people's channels, I gotta act a certain way. But when I'm here, I get to let loose. You know, since it's my channel, I can act a fool. So I like to act a fool over here on my channel. I'll be all over the place. Y'all see how I can stay right on task on those interviews though. So I can stay focused. But here, now we do what we want. Oh, you talking about the person that commented? Okay. But yeah, so talking about my week. So I will say that I actually had more movement this week because I had calmed down quite a bit with my upcoming surgery and just trying to keep everything at bay with that upcoming surgery because I want to be able to I want to be able to utilize, my other foot as much as possible. So I wanted to be in the best condition as possible when I had that surgery on the other foot. So I've been really, really taking it easy on like the working out and everything. So I want to say this week, and this is what I meant about like that control on that 10 milligram, because that tells you with just a little bit of increase in my steps, because I had cut them down. When I first started doing my journey, I was doing 10, 15,000 steps a day. And I kind of cut that down to about 5,000, because of, everything been going on. But I literally just picked it up to about 8,000 on, what was this? Friday, I want to say. I was very active, and lo and behold, I say Thursday and Friday. And when I did my weigh-in Saturday night, Sunday morning, I had lost 3.1 pounds, and I'm like, see, this is amazing because I mean, if I just do a little bit of movement, man, just a little bit of movement. Yeah, I definitely talk about that. If I can just do a little bit of movement, it really like picks my weight loss up, So that's what I mean by that control though. Yeah, so week 39, like I said, I'm very happy with it because it was, a good one. 87 pounds down, just 13 pounds from my initial goal of 220 pounds, which would put me out of the obesity category, which is what I'm looking for. And I would just be in the overweight category. So I think that's just absolutely, just amazing to be. And I gave myself a year to lose 100 pounds, and I can actually possibly do it in like 10 months, because in another month I could be down. Now I do have that surgery coming, so that's going to probably put a little damper on that. I don't know, because I definitely won't be moving around during that. But good evening, JC. But I will say, it looks good. Before the end of the year, I could be, 100 pounds down. So my ultimate goal is 200 pounds. So that means I would actually have to lose 120. Yeah, I have to lose 120, like 120. So that means that I would have to lose, what's that? If my math is any good, 32 pounds. Yep, because if I'm 232, I had to lose 32 pounds to actually get to that. And like I said, just being 9 months in, I can definitely see that happening before I decide to start doing the maintenance, right? Because maintenance is where I would try to maintain that 10, 15 pound range. And I think, obviously I'll get there, just taking the shot with a little bit of movement. I did do some lifting weights today. I did lift some weights for a little bit earlier today. So I do want to keep up with that, keep the upper body growing, my shoulders and, shoulders, chest, arms, to keep everything, keep that symmetry. So I will be continuing to do my lifting weights, even though I won't be able to, do all the walking and the squats that everybody know I love doing. I won't be able to do that. But control. So what I meant by control is that 10 milligram I mentioned this before. I feel like I could lose weight when I want to. You know what I mean? Like I literally can lose weight as I please. You know what I mean? If I want to lose more weight, I literally would just work out a little bit more and it comes right off. You know what I mean? And I feel like with the 10 milligram, it's like just a different level of control because it literally like allows me to either eat or not eat. Eat or not eat. It looks like I got a question, so I can answer the question. JC did have a question. So it says, do you feel as though you've lost weight focused? Do you feel as you've lost weight, focused on your health, your mental clarity and focus have shifted as well? I want to say maybe yes and no, because I already feel like I had clarity, because all the clarity I needed happened at my doctor's appointment when my doctor told me that basically I have a 7 out of 10 chance of having a heart attack in less than 10 years. So that was all the waking up I needed. You know what I mean? So I had a clear vision and a focus as to what I wanted to get done. And I feel like I'm just literally like, chipping right away and I'm accomplishing that, you know what I mean? Even quicker than I thought. So I think, that, but yeah, you have to give it some credit because I think the clarity that you might speak of is not having that food noise. You know what I mean? Like not having the urge to go and eat, even though you don't need to, you know what I mean? Like you don't need to eat, but you just, you have that urge where it's like, okay, so I'm gonna go, I'm totally full, but I'm gonna go and snack on, X, Y, and Z anyway, so if hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, so hopefully that also answers the question about control. There was a topic though I wanted to discuss tonight about the need to announce or come off the drug, right? Or come off the treatment, right? I feel like there's like this overwhelming need to be able to say, I'm no longer on Zepbound, right? I'm no longer, using tirzepatide, right? And I understand it from those that are very young, like let's say in their 20s, because we got some people 28, 29, 30, on this medication. And I can get it, being that young and like taking a shot every week, You know what I mean? I definitely do understand that. But from us that's 40 plus, I don't understand what the rush is. You got so many people that's always, ready to, oh, well, I don't plan to be on this for long. I don't plan to be, you know what I mean? And I'm like, where y'all going? Where y'all going? Like, I don't want to, who you announcing it to? Like, oh, I ain't on that no more. Like, honestly, I feel like if this is helping it's helping with your health markers, your metabolic issues, mental, for a lot of people, mental clarity, like JC mentioned. What are we rushing for? You know what I mean? Like, what are we rushing to hurry up? And hey, Teddy, how you doing, man? Good to see you. What are we rushing to get off for? Like, I hear this so often, like, yeah, because I don't plan on keep taking the Zep down. I don't plan on keep like, but you started. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what does that do for you to tell everybody, yeah, I'm not on Zepbound no more. I'm not on Zepbound no more. But you gained 30 pounds in 3 months after stopping. I can't tell y'all how many people that probably is not in our direct community, but other influencers that I watch that have since gained, 25, 30 pounds in 90 days after stopping the medication. So, and these are young people. Everybody I'm talking about is under 40. So for those of us that's over 40, what you think gonna happen the moment, after a few months of you stopping the medication? Because they do have several trials, and I was looking at that, on my computer. You got Sermont 1, Sermont 2, Sermont 3, Sermont 4, Sermont 5. There's all these trials. And even if you go back to Sermont 3, that's where that was that trial to evaluate the long-term safety and efficacy, of Zepbound, and it was deemed safe, even for the long term, I just don't get it. Jojo says, I think people are rushing to stop taking it because they are paying out of pocket. At least that's my case. If not, I wouldn't mind continuing to take it. Now that's a little bit different though. That's a little bit different. That's a little bit different, right? If accessibility is not what I'm talking about. So let me be clear. I do need to be clear on what it is that I'm on here saying, right? For those of you with accessibility issues and affordability issues, right? I'm not speaking to you when I say about, I don't plan to be on and I'm rushing to get off. But you got some people that's saying that has nothing to do with it. They actually got insurance that covers it. But they're saying, well, I don't plan on taking Zepbound 6 months after I, after I, hit my goal weight. You know what I mean? Like that don't make sense to me. It really don't. You know what I mean? Hold on. It just really don't, man. It really don't. So, hold on. Okay, Darian got him. This big belly was only talking crap. But it just don't make sense to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't plan to be on long. I'm gonna be like, I don't understand what the reward is for. Let me get off, because people have waited years and years and years to get on this medication. And some still aren't able to, and yet we talking about people that actually have, been approved to be are on the medication, in a rush. Well, I don't even want to say a rush. They might not be in a rush, but, count down to the time that they actually get off the medication. You know what I mean? And this is a shot we taking once a week. It's not like your hypertension medication, which a lot of these people are on. Some of these people are on, hypertension medication and other things, and they take that every day. So I don't understand why. Now, if you're having like dreadful side effects, I do also understand that too. You know what I mean? Like if it's like, if it's really bad, because for some people it is, you know what I mean? I get it. So I'm not talking about anybody that's having, very hard side effects. Anybody that's actually, having a issue, you know what I mean, with money, and paying for it. I'm really not talking to them. I'm just talking about people that don't have those issues that's, saying, well, I'm gonna be off of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. JC Calamity says, it may be that people aren't 100% sure how maintenance works. One goal is this ideal weight. The finish line is a healthy life well lived. This is why I'm following our maintenance friends. If my insurance covered it, I'd be balling, stacking Zepbound pens like gold bars. So price. I'm surprised rappers aren't holding GLP pens to their ears on video. So my whole thing is, I just think that people should not be so quick to say, well, I'm gonna get off, because you got to really sit back and think about how long it took you to get to your goal, right? How long did it take you, and what steps did it take for you to actually get to that goal? You know what I mean? Before you so quick to, jump off the medication. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, I've seen it, and they did say, only about 7% of the people that take the drug treatment are able to keep their weight off after stopping. You know what I mean? And I understand that. So if the mass majority isn't able to keep it off, why are we in such a rush to get off of it? You know what I mean? Or to announce we're off of it, only to actually have to find out or figure out how to get back on it. Because I'm telling you, I've seen it over and over and over again. People rush off the drug, and next thing you know, they right back on the treatment saying, hey, I gained 30 pounds in 3 months. And this is like several people like I've seen do it. So I've said it before, I say it again. I'm a Zepbound lifer, man. And as long as I can actually stay on, I'm not going nowhere. So I'm not going nowhere. Yeah, Teddy, packaging does tell you it's important to change habits for success. You know what I mean? So yeah, so the whole thing is get this guy out of here. Yeah, got him out of here. Ain't nobody trying to hear. Big Belly is in there going crazy. Sick of that guy. We ain't want to hear that. He got to go somewhere. So we timed him right on out. Yeah, so and anybody else that want to make crazy comments, we'll just time you out. Ain't no thing. So, hey, have at it. We're going to just time y'all out and get y'all up out the live so it can remain constructive. But yeah, that's just something I felt like, that would be a good idea to, just discuss. Good thing to discuss, because I'm seeing it so much, with so many people just like, I just don't know what that is. Like, you know what I mean? Is that still a part of like the stigma or the shame, that you have for actually treating yourself? You know what I mean? Like using the treatment to help yourself, get healthy. Because if not, it just don't make sense to me. You know what I mean? It makes sense to try and actually get yourself healthy. Not be, getting on a drug, doing all the things, and then jumping off, the moment that you reach a goal. You know what I mean? Because realistically, like someone else also mentioned, is that's just you not really, they really not understanding, you know what I mean, like the journey, I think so. It's probably shame. Yeah, I really do. But the crazy part about it is these people who I'm talking about are, very prideful, people. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're, they appear not to, be someone that's hiding. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, everybody knows about it. So I don't know. I think that is just the fear of the unknown. You know what I mean? Like not knowing what's going to happen when they hit maintenance. And as far as I can see, maintenance is more so about doing the things that, so for me, let me just talk about myself. So the way I see maintenance is remaining on the dose that was that showed efficacy, with the least amount of side effect, right? For you, right? So for me right now, that's 10, like I said, I don't know the future. I don't plan on titrating up. And the reason being is because I don't see a need for it for myself because of my ability to lose weight, even with just a little bit of movement. If I move a little bit more, I lose, I was losing 1.5 pounds with literally no working out or anything, right? I'm losing 1.5 pounds. I do a little bit of movement and I'm losing 3 pounds. You know what I mean? So especially on the 10, I just don't think I see a need to really titrate up. It's just not there for me. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. You know what I mean? So I think, and I'm just talking about whole doses, right? The 5, the 10, the 15. Right now, I'm lucky enough that based on my doctor's recommendation, I could be on any dose. You know what I mean? I could be on the in-between doses too. Like most know, I was on the 7.5 for the longest, for almost 5 months, and I lost the most weight because of tenure, not because of efficacy, right? But we're just talking about the main doses, the 5, which would be a low dose, right? If that's what you want long term. The 10, which would be a high dose, and the 15, which is also a high dose, right? The 10 is where I see it making sense for me. Because when I do get the maintenance, I just see messing around with the dose, meaning like the point in which I take it. You know what I mean? Whether it be 7 days, 10 days, or 14 days, or even in between, right? It could be 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days, right? I'm even learning that. It could be 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days. Whatever that date looks like for me is what is that I think I would do. But to not take the medication just doesn't make sense, because the other side of it too is, for me personally, it's done so many things for the other comorbidities I have, like my cholesterol, right? My cholesterol, Darium had a question. What do you say? Just so I'm clear, when you say maintenance, you're referring to maintaining a certain weight range, or you're talking about maintaining something else? Yes, dear. I'm talking about when we get into what it is that's considered maintenance on the Zepbound journey, right? Maintenance is when you get to that weight, that weight range that you're actually satisfied being in. And for me, that's anywhere from 200 to 215 pounds. That's a weight range that I'll be satisfied being in at any given time, right? If I do slip into Wonderland a little bit, I mean, so be it, because like I said, when you take the pen, you really don't control what happens. And I'll come back to that point later. So I mean, I don't want to go lower than 200 pounds, but if I end up 195, I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Because I'm still technically overweight at that point, because my actual healthy range for a 6-foot male would be 184. You know what I mean? Which I don't see in my life. You know what I mean? That's a little bit farther than I care to go. You know what I mean? That's for me, almost another, almost 50 pounds. I don't want to go that far, but 200 to 215 is good for me, because I won't go to the doctor and have to hear about obesity. You know what I mean? And that's just one thing, because also, there's a prominent doctor that said once you get in that 27, 26 BMI range, it pretty much, based on studies, drops the percentage of you dealing with certain cancers and certain other comorbidities at that point. So that's my thing. My thing is always about certain health markers. Obviously, vanity and all these other things, look and all that stuff come into play as you get smaller and you're recomping. But my thing is always health first, because I'm 44, I'll be 45 soon. And my thing is about extending my life, 20, 30 years, not so much about the vanity reasons. JC said, enough of these channels talk about that the drugs are mimicking natural peptides, but act like they won't need it when they hit a goal weight. There seems to be a disconnect that these drugs, I guess it stopped you. Yeah, they do. Because for those that don't know, that are watching, I mean, what JC is alluding to is about, like, the other peptides that actually claim the natural health benefits that the body already replicates, but at a much lower rate. Like, for instance, the GLP-1 agonist that we're using, right? The body actually does what they do, but it does for much less duration, right? The body actually only does it for a matter of minutes, and these drugs do it for a week. So if that makes it make sense for you, I hope it does. Like, these actual treatments actually allow you to actually do it, have those benefits for a week. I realize that there are many schools of thought when it comes to talking GLP-1. Some feel that it is a weight loss drug. Some say it's treating metabolic dysfunction. Others, a treatment for obesity. Yes, that is true. That is true. That is why, and for some, a temporary solution for where they are. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, you know what I mean? I guess, Darium, something temporary, but I just don't see the drug as temporary. When we look at all the studies and all the information, I respect that. Probably 6 months ago, I respect everyone's opinion, of course, but I mean that train of thought, you know what I mean? But now, with all the information we have from studies and trials, it shows that what these things do, what these treatments do to help lose weight, is something that actually is a long-term thing. It's not something that that has long-term benefit. It's not something that you're going to benefit once you come off of, right? Because my question is this: if you feel like you don't need the drug after a matter of months, why? And you started it. Do you have the belief that you're going to actually not end up, with the same biology or metabolic effects that led you to the drug in the first place, what would do that? Because we're talking about, and people do say make lifestyle changes, right? So obviously we know, moving your body more, eating less isn't the answer, so to speak, right? Even if you eat all the proper foods, right? There's still something that could lead you down. There's still effects to your biology that could lead you down that road. Like for instance, I'll use myself again. I was intermittent fasting way before I ever, decided to use the treatment, and I never lost the weight that I'm losing now. I never lost the weight I'm losing. I've been using intermittent fasting in these things, right? Even at 320 pounds, I wasn't a person that basically ate poorly. You know what I mean? Like I didn't. I ate whole foods. I even had a time where I was actually just doing vegetables. Like juicing. You know what I mean? High quality juicing at that. Not like making it in my kitchen. I was getting like, A1 high quality juice from Raw Generation. You know what I mean? And I still wasn't losing weight like this. That tells me or leads me to believe that it still was my biology that wasn't in check. And these drugs help my biology to be in check for the duration needed to actually see weight loss and maintenance, right? And the benefits of lower cholesterol, right? I was never pre-diabetic, right? But maintaining that, you know what I mean? Being able to maintain those numbers, lower my hypertension. Now, naturally, when you lose weight, you are lowering hypertension. However, I do know that, at least for myself, even when I lost weight years ago, I still ended up having to increase my blood pressure because my blood pressure still escalated with me losing weight, which told me something. And that told me that it most likely was genetic. It was more genetic than anything. It wasn't, a thing of, I want to say, of just lowering my weight. Even though I know that helped. I think right now my hypertension has, stabilized and become, textbook, as my doctors called it the other day when I went 118 over 80. Because of the treatment, you know what I mean? It's because of the combination of the weight loss and the treatment. Now, I've lost more weight than I had ever lost in my life, being nearly 90 pounds down, that's a, good deal of weight, So naturally, the pressure isn't there, to actually be that high. But I still know there's a genetic effect that will probably cause me to remain on, the drug no matter what, you know what I mean? Or the treatment. So, I mean, naturally, we love to not be able to take anything and just remain healthy. But I think at some point, it's not being, a realistic adult, to think that, and again, I'm talking to our 40 plus people, you know what I mean? Because when you're in your 20s and even 30s, I can understand it, you know what I mean? Like where you are mentally. But as we age, there's a high probability that we are going to be utilizing treatments, to prolong our existence, right? This is why people study all of these things, right? Now, the natural effect, I'm not a guy that you have to preach about because that's where I do intermittent fasting. I really do wholeheartedly believe in naturalistic things as well. But you need a combination of things, right? It can't just be one or the other. I think you need all of it in order to survive what we call life, right? Because I think that what it is that actually goes... what actually goes by the wayside is the toll that chemicals that we are subjected to on a daily basis, and within our daily lives by our society, because we use a lot of things that actually cause illness because we like to live in what we call the microwave generation and have everything fast. And in order to do that, there's certain chemicals in our foods and, and things that we utilize, aerosols and different things just on the go that actually can be harmful to us long term. Let's see, go back to the chat. So Teddy says, I will never understand why we judge ourselves and others as much for taking care of ourselves. I think people need to do whatever they need to in order to be healthy because it's a hard life out here. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's that's my opinion. A level up, stress down. Hey, thanks for stopping in. Yeah, catch the replay. Catch the replay. It'll be live as soon as I'm done. But just please like the chat on your way in and out. Please like the stream. I'm sorry, like the live on your way out. So yeah, Teddy. I feel the same way, but I do. I just really feel like people feel that pressure to get on here and say, yeah, well, I'm off of it now. I got on, I got off. But who are we doing that for? Like, I just don't understand it. Who are we doing that for? And I know Dr. Dan had got on and he had said and let me just say, because I've been on here almost 35 minutes and didn't say, this is not medical advice. I'm not your doctor or a doctor, so I'm just just here giving my experience, as I see it and doing what works for me. So please talk to your doctor if you decide to actually utilize or any type of treatment or do anything that you hear mentioned. Yeah, well, maybe it is for clout, man. I think the worst ones are the trainers, man. Those trainers get on here and they start talking that, that fear mongering about the muscle loss. I mean, they are all about the muscle loss. Oh, you're losing muscle. You're losing muscle if you're using this stuff long term. And my thing is like, give it a rest. Like, give it a rest. Like, it's so many of us that's on these treatments that's not losing muscle. Not losing significant muscle. Of course we lose some muscle, but we got it to lose. If you keep getting on here talking to 250-pound women and 350-pound men about muscle, it's kind of asinine. Because at the end of the day, when we dropping down to 200-pound men and they dropping down to 140-pound, 150-pound ladies, they don't need all of the muscle that they started with. It's just not a need for it. You know what I mean? Do we need muscle? Yes. But do we need all that we actually carrying around? Probably not. We have the room to actually lose some. And the treatments that we're losing, you really don't see more than, let's say, 40 to 45% of loss, and from anybody, on or off the airways. And as long as you're kind of like in that realm, you should be okay. You should be okay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you're gonna lose so much. Now, I understand when they're worried about, and I say this all the time, and I know people hate it, but I keep saying it because it's a thing. You do have some women that get on that's 145, 155 pounds that are 5'5", 5'6", 5'7", what have you, and are in healthy weight ranges that, attempt to drop down to 115, 120 pounds and end up underweight in some cases. And that's what you don't want to see, right? Because a lot of them are in their 40s or 50s and, heading into the older adulthood. And that's where it could be, a bit dangerous. And that's the only thing that I take issue with when I'm actually, promoting, you know what I mean, or influencing, is I don't want those individuals to see, this as a way to go that route. Because again, you still have certain people, I'll say male and female, that still haven't figured out that realistically what they're searching for is recomposition of their current body and not so much more and more and more weight loss. Because going lower on the scale isn't going to fix the skin or the fat being positioned a certain way in your body. You're just a smaller body, looking, and looking, kind of the same, just in a smaller frame, right? So that's definitely something that I think that those are the conversations that we do have to have, Jojo says those trainers be fear mongering because they losing customers. I've lost more weight on GLP-1 nutrition than the Yeah, no, I mean, that is true though. That is true. They are losing customers. And I think I do have to realize that. And I do realize that, you know what I mean? They have a vested interest as into why they're getting on saying all of that, you don't want to be, this story because the money in the training isn't there like it used to be, right? It's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. However, I think that they're going about it the wrong way because let me tell you something. Personal trainers don't stand a chance next to them pins. You know what I mean? You don't stand a chance. You can get on here and fearmonger until the cows come home. You know what I mean? It's over. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, the only thing that I would do, here, let me So basically, Tamika, you also have moderating powers too. So if you see something you don't like, you can always just get it out of here. I mean, you because Darian has it and you have it. So whenever you see I'm on a live and you see something, you get to go ahead and do whatever you want. Yes, I did. I did. Hey, Harjareen, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm glad that you came on in to chat with us tonight. And Harjareen, yeah. So yeah, I try to make as many of y'all as possible moderators. So that way, y'all, if y'all see something y'all don't like, y'all can get them out of here. But yeah, where was I? Oh, I was talking about the trainers, right? So these trainers, they have this way about them because they tend to be losing business, and I think the best way that they could, if you're smart, I would try to get in. If I was a trainer, I'd be on these lives in these communities right now, talking to the individuals in here saying, hey, if you don't, know the resistance training that, is recommended, I got a program for you. You know what I mean? Like I got a program for you. You can, you know what I mean? Cool, Darian. Cool. I got Tamika and a few others as moderators. But I got a program for you, and this will help you to recomp your body, and just go ahead and be able to like look the way you want to look without losing so much weight. You know what I mean? Because it is a conversation that need to be had. I actually have appreciation since Tamika's in here for her hypoglycemic live she did the other night. I think that's very important too. And I mentioned that on Vanity's live after seeing that live, because I think some of that is occurring too. You know what I mean? I definitely think some of that is occurring too, and people aren't noticing it, aren't recognizing it, especially on I want to say the higher doses, right? Because the 10 milligram and up I just really feel like it's different. I really feel like it's different. I feel like the GIP effect, and me and Christopher were actually talking about that on his channel. We were talking about that on his channel, talking about how, where was I going with it? Oh, I was talking about about it on his channel. We're talking about like, people, that the GIP is like, actually, stronger. It strengthens as you go up in dose, right? That GIP effect. Some people think that it's just exactly the same thing. Like, every dose is just a little bit stronger with the same mixture, a little bit stronger, a little bit stronger. But I think that when you get to those higher doses that Eli wanted you on, the 10 and the 15, that GIP, right? That GIP is actually a lot stronger, on those doses than it is on the lower doses. I really do. And I think that the hyperglycemia is something that we actually have to really, really watch out for. And in some cases, even monitor and get a monitor, instead of trying to guess. Because I know Tamika talked about fast acting things in the moment, but I think that we definitely need to make sure that we actually are also actually monitoring, what that blood sugar is, and not trying to guess based on feeling, right? That's where I would take the conversation. I would like to actually, suggest that we actually get monitors and actually when we on the higher doses, the 10, the 15, and so on, a CGM is key. It actually is, and we do need those, on this drug at these higher doses because it's definitely plausible that those things could happen. You know what I mean? So I definitely want us to really start opening that conversation up, and that's what the community is for, right? That's what these conversations are for. Like us, getting on here, bringing up things that maybe Eli and them aren't, you know what I mean? We get together, we send letters, because Dave does it all the time. Dave definitely does it all the time, over there on the pen. They get stuff done because they have that kind of community, and that's the kind of person I am. I'm like an organizer, like Darian. Darian, he's an organizer, he's somebody that's in the shadows, but, he's willing to organize. And I think, I would even venture to think that that's something that Eli Lilly should actually be talking about. You know what I mean? And collectively, if we get enough people together, those are the kind of things we should make noise about. is, being on the medication. When we see something like that, that may be a danger, we go ahead and say, hey, this could, on these higher, again, they have to be like somebody that's on the higher doses, that they actually champion them actually getting those CGM monitors. You know what I mean? Because it is happening more than what we hear about. People passing out. Sometimes it's due to low blood pressure, because the blood pressure has decreased, and people are still taking too much blood pressure. That does happen too. So the paperwork that comes with the medicine talks about the hypoglycemia. They do talk about it. It's why it's not FDA approved for type 1. No, so yeah, so if you actually do read inserts, it's all there. I was just talking about them actually doing something, by way of people taking those higher doses, being able to get a monitor, and not necessarily have to, pay the full price for it. That's kind of like what I was leaning into. Them actually working with individuals that actually, I was talking about a business situation, where people that are on that for safety reasons, they suggest and actually discount individuals willing to actually purchase those monitors. Naturally, they're not going to purchase it for you, but there should be some sort of coupon that brings it to mind. There should be some sort of cap block. In the pharmacy world, we call it cap blocks, where basically when the technician is actually giving out certain medications, we usually right now, if you take a certain type of, let's say, controlled medication, right? You actually receive a medication called Narcan, for those that aren't familiar, and that actually has the ability to revive you if you overdose, right? So that's kind of what I mean, information in that way, because we all know a lot of people don't read the inserts. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, yes, Dexicom has good OTC. Absolutely, yep. So, that's kind of like where I was leaning with that. But yeah, just some of the topics and things that I was thinking about, just seeing things throughout the community, that I think we should actually bring to the attention of Eli and those guys, about what it is that can help us to be safe, on medications, because obviously the medication we know is safe if taken appropriately. I highlighted my week when I first got on. A lot of you guys got on late, but I was pretty excited because I lost 3 pounds in the last week, and I hadn't lost 3 pounds in quite a while. But I was losing kind of like a pound and a half, a pound 0.7. August was kind of slow for me, but in September, I kind of jumped back up, and lost that 3 pounds. I hadn't seen that in a while, and so now I'm just literally 13 pounds away from 100 pounds, 100 pounds down, so. And just 9 months. Tonight made my 9th month on Zepbound. And like I said, to be 87 pounds down, who would have thought? You know what I mean? Like when I first took the pen, there's no way I would have thought by the fall I'd be down nearly 90 pounds. It's surreal. Like even saying that out my mouth is just crazy. I'm literally nearly, and sometimes I have to really think about and just repeat that back to myself. I'm nearly 90 pounds down in 9 months. You know what I mean? And that's through doing all of the things. If you go on to my app, onto my post, you'll see, I use the Simple app. And in the Simple app, the Simple app congratulated me because they were, saying that my weight loss has been healthy, and based on like my information within the application, I've had good protein and fiber, and I've lost the weight the right way. Obviously, I'm one that does intermittent fasting as well, but I don't miss any calories because, I eat, high quality protein, as everybody knows, and I get a lot of it. So I'm not missing any meals, I'm not undernourishing myself, and my movement even slowed down due to the arthritis, in my feet and ankle. And I still, being able to, be nearly 90 pounds down with all that I've been going through, being in the pain and all that kind of stuff is just simply amazing, and I can't even lie. I'm a little bit apprehensive about the journey going forward, because I think to myself about maintenance, and it's like, I'm on week 39. You got people that's on like week 100, you know what I'm saying? 80, 90, 100, you know what I mean? And, some of them are down like 110, 112 pounds, 120 pounds. And I'm saying to myself, like, what does that look like for me? I gotta at least be down that, God willing, by at that point, but I only have a desire to lose at the absolute maximum about 120 pounds, 125 if I'm pushing it, you know what I mean? So I really do think about that maintenance, you know what I mean? What is that gonna look like? But again, I ain't rushing the journey. I'm just gonna be in the moment, keep doing all the things I'm doing, and keep influencing and inspiring other people to kind of like, do their thing, you know what I mean? Because I'm happy for everybody. I'm really happy for everybody, everybody that's in these communities, all the ladies and gentlemen I see in these comments, just like cheering one another on, you know what I mean? But I do know, and I like to use percentages more so than weight, because there's a lot of ladies and guys. You got some people that's a foot taller than others in here. So when you say weight, it's kind of like not as meaningful, I think. So I mean, I'm down 27%. If that would make more sense for some. Like, I'm down 27% of my initial body weight since January, and you got to remember, Eli Lilly promotes right around 21% in 72 weeks. So I'm down 27% in 39 weeks, right? When people talked about retatrutide, right, they said that it was seeing a little more, let's say 25% in the trial that they did in 48 weeks, right? They saw it in 48 weeks, right? And they said they would have kept going, they would have saw more weight loss, Well, I'm on 39 weeks at 27%. So what do I look like at 48 or 68 weeks? You know what I mean? Like, I'm one of those people that's probably at 37, 38, 40% of my body weight lost at that time, right? And that's where the maintenance comes into play, because you don't want to continue to lose weight, at that point. So, I mean, obviously the body helps you out. It gets where it needs to get and loses the weight it needs to lose. But I'm just super excited knowing that I'm one of those people that responded in a way that I did thus far. And like I told Christopher on my Downsized interview. And by the way, if anybody haven't watched the Downsized, please go watch the Downsized interview that I did with Christopher Durham. Please go watch the Healthy Mentality interview I did with Roundbound and Zetbound. Because I think I really, kind of like detailed, things very well in those interviews, and from my journey and my perspective, and let people know a lot about myself in those. So I definitely appreciate you. If y'all haven't watched it, go and support. And if you are in the chat, please make sure you like the live tonight, so that way those people, YouTube knows that you like it, and everybody will know that it's here. I do appreciate that. But yeah, I just wanted to get on tonight and talk about my numbers, talk about some of those community topics, because I think they're very important, and it's stuff that, that matters to all of us, people on this journey, right? So, I'm not going to stay on too long, but, I just wanted to get in and really, just highlight some stuff for y'all, and talk about where I was, and just, throw out that encouragement for people that's, still, fighting that good fight, and just, I would just say, remember, if you're doing well, and you feel like, you're losing all the weight you want to lose, recomping your body, and, getting all the, that you're supposed to get out the journey, amazing. But if you're a person who feel like you're not necessarily, in that state of being right now, and you're not seeing the numbers you want to see, just remember, it's not all about the number, right? It's not all about the number. Look at your non-scale victories. You know what I mean? Because I even remind myself of that. Yes, I've lost weight for 39 weeks straight, but I still have non-scale victories that I make sure that I pay attention to. I've changed shirt sizes. My ring is a lot basically too big, for me now. When I got married, I was 26. I was 252 pounds, and I felt like I was in shape at that time. And I'm 20 pounds lighter than I was then. When I got married, I was 252 pounds, and right now I'm 232, 20 pounds lighter than I was when I got married 18 years ago. I got married 18 years ago. So I probably have to go back to high school to get to this kind of weight, you know what I mean? So I think that's a really, really, really big deal. So I don't want to, let that go unsaid, or because I'm grateful. But again, for those individuals that's actually struggling, before you actually say, hey, I'm in the stall, I want you guys to actually think about this. Am I being consistent like I was at the beginning? Right? Am I being consistent like I was at the beginning when I was losing? And what I mean as consistent, Do I know where I stand with my protein and my hydration? I'm not talking about body fat, lean mass and visceral fat and BMI. I'm talking about your protein and hydration. Those are two really important ones that I look at when I'm looking at my smart app, and when I first started out on this journey, I was at a 12%, right? And on the scale that they use, you should be at about a 16 to be, for good nutrition, right? Malnutrition is anything below that, right? So I'm happy to say right now, I'm literally like 0.3% from a 16, which would equate nutrition, right? So that means that I moved that needle several percent over that 9-month period, right? My hydration was, when I started, I want to say probably somewhere around 46, right? And today I'm above 50. And for men, you should probably be, based on my app anyway, anywhere between 50 and 60. So my hydration and my protein are where they need to be, even though I lost 87 pounds, right? So I want you to go back and think about those things. Think about your consistency, your hydration. Are you drinking enough? And your protein, are you eating enough? And here's a big one for those of us, especially those that have titrated up. Fiber. Are you getting enough fiber, and do you have proper fiber supplements? Because all the time that I was on I was only on a 2.5 and a 5 for 1 month each, but I was on a 7.5 all throughout my journey. And throughout that time, thanks Teddy for that, so cool. All throughout the journey, I didn't have a problem with constipation the way that I had in the last month. I did have some irregularity throughout that time, but I would just Marilax and a little bit of Mago 7, I'm good. Marilax, a little Mago 7, I'm good, right back. But now I've learned that there's another step I got to take, and that's to increase my fiber, right? So my fiber now is, I have a Garden of Life natural supplement, it's so good. It's natural to the point where I can even give it to my 6-year-old, you know what I mean? Because it's that, pure, that natural, I should say. So I'm going to start that, to help increase my fiber. I mean, obviously, I do eat broccoli and things of that nature to help, because you obviously want to make sure that you're getting your vegetables in. So every time I eat a plate, I also eat broccoli. I eat a lot of broccoli, to help with that. I do have like the fiber gummies, but I'm in the middle with the whole gummy thing, right? Because I feel like gummies, I feel like they can work, they do work, but I also think that it's better to go, with the actual fiber or actual soluble fiber. So I do have a fiber that I'm gonna, make sure that I'm actually infusing into get more fiber in my diet, so that way I continue to remain, regular. I definitely want to make sure I'm taking care of that, as well as my Marilax and my Mago 7. So. And then for those of you that actually have been, really paying attention, my wife is also on the journey. She just took her first 5 milligram pen today. And she is down 8 pounds. I'm happy to say in just 5 weeks, she's down 8 pounds, and my wife she's only 5 foot tall, and she started out under 200 pounds. So, just, so people know she's just 5 feet and she's under 200 pounds, and she lost 8 pounds. So, believe it or not, for a first month to lose 8 pounds. And to make it make sense, I lost 15 pounds in my first month. And I'm a foot taller and, more than 100 pounds heavier, than her. And I lost 15 pounds. So her losing 8 is just as big. That's huge. Her losing 8 pounds in her first month, and like I said, she, watched my whole journey, and she knows, all of the things, you know what I mean? So with her knowing all of the things, I think she's going to be super successful. Another thing that she got going for her, she works out. You know what I'm saying? Like, she does the Apple workouts with my daughter, pretty consistent. So with her working out, drinking that water, and then, sticking to the diet, she gets plenty of sleep because she's a sleeper. I don't sleep that much, but she get plenty of sleep. So she ain't gonna have no problem with the whole, sleep hours. So with her getting the hydration, the proper sleep, her working out, taking her shot, actually I give her shot. So, she gets her shot. That's for sure. I think she's going to be super successful. 6 months from now, I'm really excited to see where, or even a year, from now, where it is that she may land, so she's on Zepbound. So she started her 5 milligram today. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, I think that's about it. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So if you didn't like the stream, please, go back and make sure you like it, because I like everybody to find it. I like everybody to be able to see, what it is that we talked about here tonight. Yeah, thank you, Tamika, for bigging her up. Like I said, I did quite a bit of interviews. I did 3 interviews in 1 week. In 1 week. So please, please, please go and support those interviews as I continue to grow the channel. Again, not here to monetize, but I do want to spread the knowledge. And my biggest the most important thing to me is I really, really, really want people to find, this information, especially, multicultural men that are on the journey, that's looking for some help and some guidance and advice. So please, please, go ahead and spread the word. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that is it for me tonight. I would like to say thank you to everybody that jumped in and joined us tonight and actually watched the live. Please go and check those interviews out. Everyone's saying I did a good job. I think I did too. Hopefully I made everybody proud. And I would like to, end my video the same way I end all of my videos. Obesity warriors, stand up. We're in it together. Later.